Good morning, Power Hour Nation. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the second hour of the Power Hour. This fine day, wherever you are. In the studio, right here, in living color, we have Alan Gossett, who is the inventor, the proprietor, whatever you want to call it, of Aquanetics H2o, Aquanetics H2o. And he's invented quite a little deal. And it's not a water filter. It's so much more than that. And we're going to get into that in the details and get to know Alan a little bit better. He's right here, so we can ask him some questions. But, Alan, good morning and welcome to the Power Hour.
Hello, everyone. Good to be here. Really good to be here in studio with you, Daniel. Appreciate that.
Yes, of course. Yeah, it's our pleasure. How in the world? Tell us a little bit about Aquanetics. How long it's been around? You know, how you got into this, and just some general information so the audience knows where you're coming from.
Well, the company, we've actually been around over 4 years. It birthed from my experiences in the solar generator field. And the way we came about with working with water and purification and things like that is traveling across the Midwest, meeting thousands of people. We went to shows and expos with our solar generators and the things that we were accomplishing with that company. And we started to take a lot of surveys with people from across the United States because we really wanted to get into the minds of these people and find out what their major concerns were. Not necessarily, disaster remediation or anything like that, but specifically just in general, what are your concerns with you, your welfare and your family? And, of course, we figured it would have been electricity being in the solar generator field, so we were pretty confident our results of taking these surveys would bolster our company, and it came about to be not true. About 95 to 98% of the people that we surveyed were concerned with water, and it frankly astonished us. But when you take a look back at the big picture, we have to understand that without fresh, clean drinking water, you've got 3 days or less to live, and water is the source of all life on Earth, whether you're growing crops, taking care of livestock, or taking care of your immediate needs, manufacturing, everything down the line. So that's where this idea was birthed from, were these surveys that we took across the country. And so we wanted to make something that was portable and something that was extremely effective. Something that is as effective as maybe something you'd see in a manufacturing plant, like with some of the soda manufacturers or the juice manufacturers or bottled water manufacturers, things like that, is how can we make something that's going to be that pure but on a portable, off-grid scale, and that's where this Solar Hydro backpack came from.
That's really interesting, and I kind of would have thought like you that people would have been concerned about other things. I'm in the food storage industry, been thinking about food, electricity, obviously, but people are concerned about water, like 98%. That's a major concern. I guess it's obvious once you stand back and look at it, as you said. How is your product, there's so many water filters out there. There's so many water deals. I mean, there's just a million of them. How is yours different from all those that are on the market? Because it seems like this is not your typical water filter, purifier, whatever you want to call it.
Well, you're right. There's a lot of really, really cool, effective small units on the market. And there's large ones, 70 pounds on up. But we've never tried to take the place of the little pumps or the little straws or anything like that. Everything has its place in this world, and we're I believe, all on the same team.
Yes, and that team is Team Pure Water. Team Pure Water, Aquanetics H2o. We're here in studio with Alan Gossett. Very good to be with him. We'll get into more of this, more about him, and get to know him a little bit better. And he's got the pack right here. We're going to open this bad boy up and see what we got involved. So stay tuned, and also your calls coming up. And, tell us what you think of the pack, because you guys have it out there. Let us know. You're listening to the Power Hour. Stay tuned. to the Power Hour. 8 minutes after the hour across the globe, wherever you are. Thank you for joining us. We are here with Alan Gossett from Aquanetics H2o right here in studio, and he's talking about his water purification pack, water hydro pack that we sell over the Power Mall. You can give Jay a call, 877-817-9829, 877-817-9829. And he's got the thing here and how it comes. I mean, it looks like some kind of military backpack. Nice, really nice. It has a lift-up handle. You can drag this like a suitcase. How much does this weigh, Alan?
It weighs right around 24.85 or something, so we call it 25 pounds.
24.85 or so pounds. Yes, this is a nice bag to describe it. It's got camouflage, that digital kind of camouflage. It's got everything in there that you need. Is everything as I'm looking at this pack, this is probably 2 feet by 18 inches, maybe 2.5 feet by 18 inches. Is everything contained in here that you need?
It's completely self-contained. Everything is in the backpack as you need, so you could actually just throw it on your back or wheel it, like you said. I've got a 9-year-old son. He wouldn't backpack it, but he could pull it with relative ease. So,
well, very good. I know my little girl, she likes to pull luggage, so she would love pulling. She would love pulling this thing. Well, let's open this bad boy up, and why don't you tell us a little bit about what we're looking at? What are we getting in this hydro water pack? Because this is much more than a filter. I mean, this is a whole system that we got going on here. Go ahead and describe it as you can.
Well, the system itself is completely self-contained, which means the power supply is included. All of your hoses, everything, you won't need anything external with this. So if you deployed this to Houston, or if you deployed this to Louisiana or some other area that needed disaster remediation, you backpack this or you put it in the back of your truck or in your back seat, and it's all included. Even the solar is actually in this pack. So you take it off your back, set it down upright, snap the hoses on, turn it on, and as you're pulling contaminated fresh water out of a lake or the street, in Houston's case or what have you, as the water comes out, it's actually ready for rinsing wounds. And then we'll get into this in a little bit about a really big virus problem that happens after floods, bacteria and viruses. But rinsing wounds, cleaning medical equipment, obviously drinking. And a lot of people focus on food. How are you going to cook your food if you don't have clean water to cook your food? So this pack contains certifications on components that are actual medical grade. We actually use components in this pack that they use in hospitals. It's no joke. It's very expensive to do this. That's why nobody else does this. We have certifications that are FDA, NSF, and those types of certifications. We actually also exceed World Health Organization standards for water purification. So everything included in the pack, the hoses you need, your solar that you need, extra filters we already give you. But, I want to touch back real quick, Daniel, if I can, is you'd ask kind of what makes this different. And as I said before the break, we're not trying to take the place of the little pumps or the straws or the gravity-fed things that people might have. I have a gravity-fed at my house, and they work to an extent, and they're great little systems. But what this pack is for is to give you a lot of water in a short amount of time that's actually purified, not just filtered. Getting to the floodwaters, and let's go ahead and step into this really quick. One of the big problems that you'll have, like, take Katrina, for instance, and I just read a report from NBC this morning that a really big problem that you're going to have after in coastal areas is going to be bacteria and viruses within the water. That's, of course, overflows of floodwaters into water treatment plants, and you'll have a lot of that waste getting into surface water, things like that. Viruses, guys, can be as small as a 0.004 micron. It is terribly small. These filters, just filters only on the market, almost all of them, and if you read the user's manuals on these things, they'll tell you the pore sizes on their filters are only a 0.02 micron. So a virus can easily pass through to the host. This is going to be a big problem because if you don't eradicate viruses within this water, there is a chance that you'll be ingesting viruses. And as Sam said before this last hour, is they had closed one of the hospitals. If you get a virus within your body and you have a severe reaction, what happens if the hospital's closed?
Well, I'm all about independence. I mean, whether it's food, water, whatever, I'm about us taking our own power. This is the power hour. Let's us have the impetus here. I'm going to stand up and I'll hold the microphone and let's get this thing apart. You know, in Houston, they said that there were actually alligators that were coming. They're being displaced because their areas are being flooded. I mean, if you survive the alligators, you may not survive the virus in your water. Now, we're talking about in a disaster situation, obviously, you know, like Houston. It's right here in front of us right now. I mean, it's kind of ironic that you're here right when that's going on. But that situation is right in front of our face. What are some other practical, you know, barring some natural disaster, how else would people use this? Because I know people use this on a regular basis. Let's talk a little bit about that, and then let's get into this bad boy.
Well, people actually use this to purify water from rain harvesting off their roof, believe it or not. People will use this. In fact, I've got a lady down in Texas that told me this. They take their pack on their party barge or whatever. I don't know what you call that boat. It's like a sun tracker is what they're called, and it's like a party barge where you've got like a grill and things like that on it. And they'll take this on the boat instead of taking 30, 40 pounds of bottled water for them and their entire party. They'll actually pull water out of the lake while they're swimming, pull it out of the lake, and drink the water instead of dragging bottled water around. People will use this within communities, like if you go out on a big float trip or a big camping trip with, 20, 30 people. Remember, this will provide up to 100 gallons of water a day. So if you give 1 gallon per person, that's enough for 100 people. Now, you do have to work at it. It doesn't just automatically come out. I mean, you'll have to work at it and be with it and filter and purify the water. But, you're talking about up to 100 gallons a day. So people will use it like that. They'll use it actually for getting water and storing it for emergency situations. CERT teams, there's so many different things that you could use this pack for. Anything that needs water, this is what this is for. Any aspect of life that needs water, that's what this pack is for.
Well, I've been impressed, and talking to Joyce, I know you went to Joyce's and you showed her this deal in that pond by her house. She drank water. She was so amazed that she drank water right out of that pond. And it's not a nasty pond, but it ain't clear either. Let's put it that way. So I was impressed with that. But let me get the microphone here. Let's stand up here, and I'll see if you can talk about this while give us a second here. Now, of course, we got like I said, the big backpack. He's opened it. You can hear the Velcro strip. Everything is. What did you just pull out there? What is that?
That's the folding solar array that will recharge us anywhere in the world. This is what's interesting, guys, is you don't need an electrical grid ever to recharge this pack. If you have one, 110, great. But if you don't, if you're in China, they don't have 110. They have 240. So you're going to have different voltages of electrical grids across the world. So if you're in the Amazon or you're at the Thames River or you're on the Mississippi or anywhere in the world, it's irrelevant where you are in the world. This will be recharged with this solar array. This is what makes this totally different than anything else. Okay, now he just opened his backpack. This solar panel, I don't know if you guys have ever seen this, but it folds up like a big postcard, a little bigger than a postcard, maybe double size of postcard. Folds right up. It's got 4 panels. And then what do? You just put this out in the sun and then you connect it to here, and how long does it take to charge? I've actually taken this solar array and recharged the power supply in the Solar Hydro in about 3 hours. Now, solar, if anyone out, and I know a lot of power hour listeners know about solar because they do this research, so you guys know that solar is unpredictable. Is there shading from the sun with clouds and trees around and that sort of thing? But if you're in full sun, if you're closest to the equator, like down in Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, then you'll get a more intense sun irradiation to the panels versus, say, up in Canada or Maine. But anywhere you have sun, you will be able to recharge this pack.
And then once it's charged, how long can you use it, and usually how many gallons could you produce in that time?
You'll get between 30 and 40 gallons on one charge. We say 30 because we like to make sure that you get the water you need. You turn it off, pull the power supply out, put it in the sun with the panel, recharge it, go at it again. So when I mentioned earlier, you're going to have to work at it a little bit to get 100 gallons, okay? But keep in mind, getting a gallon a minute and 30 gallons on one charge is a lot faster than a gravity fed giving you 6 gallons a day.
Oh, it's infinitely faster. I mean, it's exceptionally faster. That's 30 a gallon a minute is unbelievable. Now, if you had this hooked up to a power source, you could just keep it going straight, filtering the 100 gallons. You could.
Like some people had asked me, can I make a wiring harness and hook this up to a car battery because it's 12 volt? Yes, you could.
Okay, well, there we go to the break. Now, he's just opened up the pack, and you can see the filters. Well made. This isn't like some cheap Chinese crap. This is nice. Yeah, this is made here in America, as he says. Hey, we'll get back to the other side. And your calls, 855-995-6923. Give us a call. Let us know what you think. You are listening to the Power Hour. And they've certainly seen rain in Houston, ladies and gentlemen, and hopefully that rain can turn to a sunny day. Rain, a sunny day. Creedence Clearwater, welcome back to the Power Hour. 24 minutes after the hour, we're talking to Alan Gossett, the inventor of Aquanetics H2o. He had a need, or he saw a need, when he was talking to his solar customers, and they said, we're concerned about water. So he said, okay, well, let's put solar with water and see what we can do. And he's created quite a deal. I mean, this is a system, and he's opening up, and I'm going to take the microphone off the stand and get up here and go over to him. The backpack's about, 24, 28 inches by 18 inches. Really nice. It has a roller on it. You can pull it. Simple. Easy to use. He's opened it up. He's got little solar panels that he can hook right up in this to charge this. Ideal sun takes about 3 hours to charge it, and you can get 30, 40 gallons out of it. 30, 40 gallons in about what, half hour?
Yeah, a gallon a minute.
Well, gallon a minute is fantastic. Okay, so now we're getting to the rest of this, and like I said before the break, if you're just now joining us, this is nice. I mean, this is not some cheap piece of Chinese crap, as I said. This is nice, and looks heavy duty. And why don't you go ahead and describe a little bit what we're doing here, and I'll hold the microphone, Alan.
Well, just to give you an idea how easy it is, basically if you can snap a hose into a quick connect, that's pretty much as hard as it gets. We actually had a customer call in while we were being interviewed. Joyce was actually with us, and a lady called in, lives out in Arizona, 70 years old, and she said this is one of the easiest things she's ever used. If you can, you can snap this hose in. You snap the blue hose in for the purified water coming out and turn it on. That's about as hard as it gets.
Okay, so what he's done here, ladies and gentlemen, he's got the backpack on one end of it. Man, I mean, this is really done well. He's got a hole in the backpack, nice made, seamed up. It's just a quick connect, just a snap. You just snap this hose in. Now, this is the hose that goes into the lake water, river water, whatever, right?
That's correct. This is a 4-stage germicidal unit. So stage 1, you'll see on the end of this hose a screen on there. This will filter out or keep out any large debris, sticks, leaves, things like that. Then down here you'll see the 2 canisters, the other 2 filters actually that the water is pushed through via the internal pump. And then on the side here you'll see this blue ring. This is where the blue hose goes. That's where the blue hose goes, and this is where the pure water comes out.
So on one side of the unit, it's got a snap for the water that comes in, and another snap blue, and it's color-coded. I mean, you can't, as long as you're not colorblind, you can't get this wrong. If you're colorblind, you got to ask a friend. But other than that, it's pretty simple. You put the clear one to suck the water. It's got this nice, it's got a mesh filter, so you don't get rocks and, like you said, debris, stuff like that, you're sucking up. So it sucks it up. It's got a pump, it pulls it in, and then where's the water go then? It goes into these filters here at the bottom. So it's got two really nice filters here at the bottom, some setup. Is that where the water goes first?
It's where the water goes first. It'll get out dirt, sediment, debris, and things like that, the fine stuff. Then it goes through this here. This is a GAC filter. This is actually not only, guys, will this get rid of bad taste, odor, sediment, and things like that. This will also remove, this is so important, this will remove and reduce radon gas, pesticides, herbicides, VOCs, chlorine and chloramines, all of these things that you will have in surface water.
Let's talk about VOCs, because that's kind of gotten into our consciousness. What is a VOC?
It's a volatile organic compound, and these are things that will appear in surface water, whether it is naturally through things that are biodegradable or biodegrading within the ground or surface water, but also chemicals that you might find in certain detergents, and things like that.
Okay, so that's, 100 years ago they didn't have VOCs like we didn't have all these pesticides, and Monsanto wasn't running around and turning us into a bioweapon did I say that out loud? I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. That's not FDA approved. But this pack is FDA approved. It has some FDA certification, so I don't have to give the disclaimer. Okay, then what happens next? What are you pointing to there? And he's pointing to he's got this, it looks like a trip wire, something, this red and white wire that goes to this other filter. Oh, he's turning off, he's opening the panels here. We got to go to break. He's going to have a chance to open up these panels so we can get internal and see what we got going on. Any questions that you have, please give us a call, 855-995-6923. If you use this pack now, please give us a call. Let us know how you like it, and love to hear from you. You're listening to the Power Hour. Stay tuned.
Wants to get those on your refrigerators, print it out, and put a magnet on it too, but pass them on to your friends. So we thank you so much for listening today. We're going to go back to the live documentary in studio with Alan Gossett and his hydro pack.
This is just like National Geographic.
Yeah, it is. We're going.
It's just like National Geographic. Yeah, we're like in the Amazon or something here. I mean, that's what this thing could do here. Okay, now where we left off, and if you want to call any questions you have or whatever, please just let me know if there's any callers. Just let me know in my ear. But he's opening up the guts of this thing, and you got some kind of backing material. This isn't just any material that you're using here. Talk about that.
We protect all the really vital components within the system with a hard cover, but this isn't just a cheap petroleum plastic. This is actually a bacteria-resistant material. Nobody uses this because it costs too much in manufacturing, so we try to make this as sterile as possible. So we want all of the users to be able to get into this really easy, because if you want to pull the power supply out, pull it out. If you want to replace the lamp, replace the lamp. It's so easy to use.
Well, that's what I noticed is he's sitting there doing this. It just got these plastic screws. I mean, it was simple. It was no big deal at all. I could do it. Everything's very easy on this. That's one thing I totally noticed. It's complicated, very high level, well done, but yet simple at the same time. I mean, this is very well thought out. I'm impressed, Alan.
Well, the one last thing that I want to show you is when you open this up, if you'll notice this tube here on this final stage 4 of the system, this is a germicidal UVC module. This is actually what is eradicating bacteria and viruses. And just to get really technical really quick, living tissue or organisms, they have a UV tolerance. The UVC spectrum of light, C, that is the germicidal range. This is actually what's going to eradicate viruses and bacteria. This pumps out 40,000 microwatts of UVC. Why is that important? Well, here's why. Let's talk about viruses again, bacteria and viruses. You will see within water hepatitis, Norwalk viruses, the Vibrio virus, which is prevalent on the coast because that comes from shellfish. And so when you have floodwaters rise, if you get Vibrio within your system, you could have fever, diarrhea, and some of these other things. And if you have a weakened immune system, it's really going to wreak havoc on you. What does it take to eradicate some of these viruses? Well, cholera. It's huge all over the world. That takes 6,500 microwatts of UVC to kill it or to eradicate it. The Solar Hydro pumps out 40,000. This is so important. Polio, it takes 6,000 to kill it. We pump out 40,000. Hepatitis, it takes 23,000 to eradicate hepatitis in water. This pumps out 40,000 microwatts of UVC. This is actually scaled for a system to pump out 3 gallons per minute. But we slowed it down, you see. So this is actually calibrated. If we wanted to up the gallon output of water, we could. But we want to make sure no matter what's passing through and getting through to this final stage is going to get eradicated, no matter what. So we do 3 times the amount of UVC even required by the World Health Organization to kill these bacteria and viruses in water.
How common, you brought up hepatitis, how common are some of those things in just like a pond? If you just went to a pond, not standing water like is in Houston, how common do you think some of those things would be?
Typically what you'll see in standing water, like a pond, you'll see a lot of Giardia, Cryptosporidium, things like that. That has to do with animal waste, fecal matter, things like that. That's typically what you'll find. And those 2 are the benchmark for other pathogens. So in other words, if you do test on, say, your well, and you have Cryptosporidium in your water, okay, typically what they say is if you find that, the environment in that surface water or well water or pond water is ripe for a lot of these other things. Now, do we have cholera running rampant in the United States? Absolutely not. That's not here typically. Do we have some cases here and there? Of course. But typically what you'll see here in the States, Mississippi River, things like that, is going to be hepatitis, Cryptosporidium, Giardia, and some of these others that you're going to see here in the States.
Well, I really impressed. I'm not just saying this, Alan. This is impressive. He came down. He wanted me to see this personally, and we're going to go out to. There's some creeks and a couple ponds around here. We're going to get on the back of our UTV. We're going to redneck it up and ride around some of these back roads. And we're going to find the biggest holler of water we can find, and we're going to run this deal and see what comes out. So I'm pretty excited about that. So basically, the water comes in. It's got a 4-stage process. The first stage is getting out sediment, those kind of things. The second stage is doing what?
Well, stage 1 was the larger stuff, the sticks, leaves. Stage 2 is the sediment. Smaller particles. Stage 3 is going to be reducing and removing petrochemicals and pesticides and herbicides and chloramines and all the nasty chemicals you'll find in water. The germicidal stage is what's actually eradicating viruses and bacteria.
So that's the last stage. That finishes it off. So once you get the water, pretty clean, at least so you can see physically, is those small viruses, really small viruses that it's going to get the last shot on. Very good. I mean, what do you make of the world we live in? You see, obviously Houston is such a stark reminder of what can happen, those kind of things. But what have you seen from your customers, the type of attitude that they've received this? How do they like this system?
Well, I'll tell you, it's pretty humbling because, it took us 4 years to get this to where we wanted it because it's only been on the market a little over a year. And we actually launched on the Power Hour, which was great. But we have not had one complaint. And it's very, very humbling because I'm not smart enough to come up with this by myself. The good Lord above has given us the wisdom to put something like this together. But, the people that purchase this, they understand the importance of water. And, Daniel, if I can segue into something else. Guys, we've never brought this system out and preached doom and gloom when the world's going to blow up. That's not what we do. we don't have to do that. We just take a step back and look at the world around us. And one thing that I will just emphasize is a lot of people out there believe in being prepared. They do. A lot don't. And it astonishes me, but there are people that do. And a lot of people that believe in being prepared, they've got the guns, they've got ammo, they've got gold bullion in their safe, they've got food storage. Guys, you have to ask yourself, what are you going to cook your food with if you don't have water? What are you going to cook your food with? The reason we do this is because this pack will give you enough water in a day for a family for drinking. Don't forget hygiene, guys. We make that hydro wash 8-foot attachment that's a shower head. This pumps out between 30 and 35 psi. Remember what I said earlier about bacteria and viruses in the flood waters? If you have an open cut, you will probably get bacteria and viruses in your hands or your feet or wherever you have a cut. How are you going to clean that? How are you going to rinse wounds or medical equipment? That's what the hydro wash is for. But this will give you enough water per day for cooking, hygiene, cleaning some dishes, water for pets, water for a small garden. It's amazing what this will do. That is why we do what we do.
Let's talk about the special that we have over at the Power Mall, and it's pretty cool that you launched it here at the Power Mall. But talk about the special and the opportunity and that referral that Sam mentioned. Spend some time on that, if you would.
The promotions that we're running this week, guys, through Friday afternoon is, of course, we've partnered with the Power Mall. All Power Hour listeners receive 10% off. We also, for this week, we do this again because this has been the most popular promotion with the Power Hour people. They really like it. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it is what we say in Texas, right? But we're going to be giving a $69 value. It's a hydration pack, which is like a 1.5 liter. It's a little backpack bladder with a straw. So you fill it up with the purified water from the hydro, throw it on your back and go hiking or go on an excursion. So we're throwing that in. We're throwing in extra filters. All of that's a $294 value that you're getting. So this week, you're getting a $294 value savings with our promotion this week. Also, we've had so many Power Hour listeners purchase these packs, so I feel it's time to give back. When you guys call in and order your pack this week, just mention the Power Hour listener's name that owns a pack that told us that referred you. So Deborah out in Arizona, if she mentioned, because she owns one, if she mentioned, hey, my neighbor down the street, you need to look at this, and her neighbor calls in, we're sending Deborah a $50 gift card. So every referral this week, whoever refers to purchase the pack, we're sending a $50 gift card.
That's a great offer. So not only you're getting about $300 value, some of it straight up straight off money right off the bat, and then others extra filters, which, you know, if having the system, you're going to want extra filters just so you have, if you obviously if you're buying this, you want to be prepared. Have the extra filters for really whatever comes. Now this, I don't see this as strictly an emergency situation. I see this as we have well water here, and we live in a farming. You drove here. I mean, you know, this is. We live out of the way a little bit. That's a little bit of a rural jog. There's a lot of farms. There's a lot of, unfortunately, GMO farms. There's a lot of GMO corn being grown here, and there's glyphosate getting in the water and pesticides and that kind of thing. I can see this for people with wells that would want to take this for their drinking water to have a. Really do that. Talk about that a little bit. And are people using it for that now?
Yeah, we actually have people that'll set this up on their countertop, fill up their sinks full of water, and then purify the water from their kitchen sinks straight into gallon water jugs. Absolutely right. And guys, again, this is not just doom and gloom. This is everyday life. This is camping, fishing, freshwater boats, hunting, all of these things. That's what this pack is for. If you don't want to, remember, guys, water weighs 8 pounds a gallon. Drag around 40, 50 pounds of water just because you're going to go out on your boat all day. Well, don't. 25 pounds versus 50 pounds.
Well, with the cost of bottled water, and who would have ever thought 50 years ago, whatever, that bottled water would cost more than a gallon of gas. Water costs more than gas. I mean, think about that, ladies and gentlemen. You buy bottled water, I mean, all the time when you go to the gas station, you're on the trips, whatever. Economically, this is really a deal. Your ability to create that water that's better, I'm sure, is better than most of that bottled water that you're seeing there at the market.
Well, it is, and interesting you brought that up, because there's actually, over the last 3 to 4 years, there's been news reports, and I won't mention the companies because I don't want to get us in trouble, but they're out there. Google bottled water news reports, and you'll actually see, and these are actual reports, guys, from national news, where bottled water companies are doing nothing but taking water from their tap at their plant and putting it in the bottle. And in fact, if you turn over the label on some of these companies, it will say water source, City of Fort Worth, Texas, or what have you. Well, what does that tell you? It's coming right out of the tap. So in any event, a lot of cases, what you just mentioned is absolutely correct.
I've been concerned. We've had experts on, I don't know how much you know about that, but the thought comes, the infrastructure in America, a lot of these municipal infrastructures, the water systems, they're getting old, they're vulnerable. Do you have any experience with that or seen that with these, like Flint, Michigan, and the lead in the water, what have you? What have you seen as far as that across the country?
Well, I'll just revert back again. Don't take my word for it. Look up your own reports that you can find from national news. Is over the last 50, 60, 70 years, there has been virtually zero, and I mean no money put in any type of infrastructure whatsoever. We like to talk about the big omnibus spending bills that Congress passes, and the big bill that passed through the Obama administration for infrastructure, and I put that in quotes for you people that can't see me over the radio. But what happened? So we spent $1 trillion on quote-unquote infrastructure projects, shovel-ready stuff, right? That's what we were told. And then what's happening now, they're asking for more omnibus spending bills to be passed through Congress for infrastructure. I'm confused. I thought we just did that. So, again, just look at everything face value, and you'll know that money has never been spent over decades for infrastructure.
You're getting kind of political now, Alan. You're getting into some touchy areas. I mean, forget about the FDA, and now you're hitting the spending bill of the House of Representatives. I mean, how dare you? How would you ever think that? Ladies and gentlemen, a very neat pack if you're considering this. I recommend this. We're going to go out and obviously use it. I'll give you a report tomorrow, but from what he's shown me, this is a pretty neat deal. Sam, I wish you were here to see this. I mean, it's got side things. It's got everything wrapped up nice. It wraps up. I'm impressed, Alan. God bless you for what you've done here. We'll be back after this 3-minute break. Anybody has any questions for Alan, certainly let us know. And we'll be back. You're listening to the Power Hour. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Power Hour. 54 minutes after the hour. We're talking to Alan Gossett from Aquanetics H2o. We sell this is a revolutionary. This is a leap forward in water purification, not filtering, purification. On a large scale, if you're responsible for family, you got extended family, you got, the in-laws, the whole crew, in some kind of emergency, this is what you want. I mean, this is what I would want right here if I had a good many people that I was dealing with. But I think the uses are varied and can be applied even now, because I've just come to the conclusion you just can't trust the city water. Just the government in general, I just have a healthy distrust for anything that they do. Let's just put it that way. I got an email from Linda. Linda, I think this is Linda in Texas. Well, why don't you call in? Tell us your story really quick about your nephew. Please call in, 855-995-6923. But, Alan, you know Linda and a little bit about her story. Why don't you tell us? This is pretty interesting.
Yeah, she's a faithful listener here to Power Hour, and she actually purchased a system. But her nephew, I believe, he actually is a missionary, and a system was acquired for him as well. And it sounds like he's going to be able to do some remediation help and work down in Houston using one of our packs. So, yeah, Linda, call in. We'd love to talk to you.
Awesome. Hopefully, Linda, you can get a chance to call in. We got a few more minutes to go. In conclusion, what is when people see this, I mean, what is their are they kind of amazed like I am and just impressed, or what are generally people's reaction when you show them this thing?
Typically when we show it, and I'll revert back to Joyce at her pond because it's always the same. She said, and I quote, "Oh my God, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it." She kept saying that. We pulled the water out of her pond. We put it in a clear cup. And I said, "Okay, Joe, I'm going to drink it first so you know that I'm not playing." I showed her how I drank it. And she told me this, and she said, "Give me that." She said, "Give me that." I poured her a cup, and she drank it. And then she continued to say, "I don't believe it. I can't believe it. I can't believe it." And then, of course, the story goes, and Noelle was standing there, and Noelle was like, "I'm not drinking that." And Joyce said, "Yes, you are," and gave Noelle a glass. And of course, and then Noelle was like, "Wow." So that's typically that's what we run into, and it's great. It's one thing to see it in a picture, but when you actually see it actually work, and then you drink it, you're like, "Okay, now I get it." And and I'll tell you this is, guys, this isn't for everybody, and we understand that. But if you don't have any type of preparedness for your water, please, we just say do something. Do something to make sure you have clean drinking water at some capacity. But it's got to be portable because, if you had 50 to 100 gallons of bottled water in your basement right now in Houston as your backup plan, you can't take it with you. It weighs too much. Now what are you going to do? That's why something portable like this is absolutely imperative for you, your family. Don't forget your pets and everything else.
Well, sound advice. I always tell, in being in the food storage industry, we always talk about storing water, how difficult it is. I recommend a little bit of water storage and then some way to filter water, some way to purify water. I mean, that's it, whether it's gravity fed on a small scale or it's something like this. A lot of applications, very well made. I think, ladies and gentlemen, when you see this, if you buy this at home and you get this, I think you'll be very, very satisfied with the way this thing is put together and made very conscientiously. Very good. Alan, very good. I'm just really impressed. We have about 30 seconds in conclusion. Anything you'd like to say to the audience?
Yeah, any questions you guys might have, Jay and everyone here, they're always really good about forwarding my number. If you guys have technical questions, call the Power Hour. They'll relay you straight to me, and I will talk to you directly.
Very good. We're going to be back after this quick break. Andrea Parker, one of the most important stories in America, besides the hurricane and the flooding and stuff. This is one of the most important stories in this country for America. Stay tuned. Andrea Parker coming back on the other side. You're listening to the Power Hour.